from the fifth dimension to spend some time with you guys all here on the Beyond Borders podcast.
Hi, this is Shannon E. Johnson, the professional pen, and you're listening to Bet on Black with Kid Gravity.
Bet on black. Bet on black. Bet on black. Bet on black.
Okay, folks, when you hear both theme songs from the podcast, you know it's a very special episode. And for those watching on the video, I'm wearing my Papa Bear shirt because I am a father and I am a husband. And one of the things that are my responsibilities is to make sure that my family's put up in a state where we can be financially, socially, and politically strong. And with my wife being half FBA, shout out to all the FBAs, ADOS, to be one in the building, I need to make sure that a certain R word is constantly drummed in people's mind, all 370 million people in this country. Because without reparations, I swear to God, this country will not be whole. And we have heard the trick bag language from everybody, folks, down to, I'm not going to say people's names because they will find out that they're in the video and they will flag it. But we all know who they are. So I said, let me go be amongst the people who are about that reparations life. And one of the up and coming leaders of that fight is threatening the seat of old Jimbo Jango Clyburn, Mr. Fish Fry himself. And I said, let me reach out to the brother, see if he'll come on and explain his platform. And hopefully we give this brother support because we need fresh blood in Washington, making sure that descendants of chattel slavery get reparations. So tonight, folks, on a special edition of Beyond Borders with Rose Gold and Kid Gravity and Bet on Black with Kid Gravity, I have Gregg Dixon, also known as Marcel Dixon. He is running for Congress in the great state of South Carolina, and he is going in June for the primary to make sure he is on that stage come November, in October and September, to debate old Jimbo Jangles and get him up out of here. So I'm going to introduce Marcel, let him explain himself, introduce himself, and we're going to get into it because we have a lot to talk about.
Hello, everyone. Greg Marcel Dixon here, candidate for South Carolina 6th Congressional District. And thank you for having me, Kid Gravity.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I've been following you for about 2 months now. Because I went back on Twitter, even though it's to me it's a cesspool, but it's a treasure trove of content. It's a treasure trove of content.
Yeah, it's definitely a cesspool.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And in between looking for content and schooling people, especially them white liberals, about things that go on in the black community, because of course they love to talk for us, people started tweeting out your videos and your pictures. And I was like, who is this guy? So I looked you up and I said, oh, he's running on a reparations ticket. That's just why everybody rides with him. Okay, so I did some research. I was like, you know what, this guy, he seems sincere because like I said before in the opening, we have a lot of our politicians and our so-called leaders pushing reparations, but we know why they're really pushing it. They just want their cut. They're not in it for the long haul. They're not in it to say they really deserve this. And if it comes that way, I'm going to fall back and let everybody enjoy it. But then I look at your platform, I'm like, he's really about this life. He understands where his, I guess you understand where your family started from and everything, right?
Yes, 1700s, as far back as I've been able to go. It could be further back than that because Black Americans, have been in the the land that would be considered or would become the United States of America since the 1500s. But South Carolina was first settled as a British colony in the early 1600s. As far back as I've been able to go has been the 1700s, and on my mother's side and father's side, it's been right here on the coast of South Carolina. So I am a what's called a Sea Island Creole, but we're
Mhm.
more properly known as Gullah in the Carolinas or Geechie in Georgia, Florida. Even though both terms are used in all states, we are descendants of the rice-growing Africans who were enslaved here, and we have, of course, we are freedmen, which is a legislative term. I know people say ADOS, FBA, and B1. Those are terms I respect and admire as well, but those are all social terms. Freeman
Mhm.
is a legal term. It's actually in the books of Congress. It was a political classification we received at the end of the Civil War with the passage of the Freedmen's Bureau. So my family, my Freeman family, has been here on the coast of the Carolinas maternally and paternally since the 1700s. So I have a very strong sense of identity, a very strong sense of culture. I've always been proud of my culture. Never, ever, ever have I been ashamed or felt the need to try to exotize myself, and I don't feel that need now.
Yes, sir. Okay, now me being non-FBA because my family's lineage starts in the Caribbean. Can you explain to me what Gullah means? Because I've always heard that word being used on social media, but I never really understood what it means.
Well, I forgot to say this. I
Hmm.
have been busy. I've been on the phone all day, and I have been doing a lot of campaign related activities and
Hmm.
running errands. So forgive me for being on my phone. I know that doesn't always come across the best for you content creators out
It's
there.
fine. Listen,
Okay.
I think Congress. I think people running for Congress get a little bit of a pass
Oh, thank
because
you.
yes, sir. And you're a
Okay.
brother, so I give you a little bit more of a pass. So, and
Okay.
you're on code, so you get about this big of a pass.
Thank
So
you.
it's
Thank
okay.
you.
It's okay. It's okay.
But
We understand how hard you work. So if you gotta do what you gotta do, that's fine with me.
so the term Gullah, like I said, refers to descendants of people who are the descendants of the Africans that were enslaved on the coastal plains in the Sea Islands, mainly of South Carolina and
Hmm.
Georgia, but also northern Florida and a small tip of southern North Carolina, like mainly the Wilmington area and a few of the barrier islands there. And because of the isolation, the white enslavers couldn't deal with the subtropical climate. The malaria was awful, but the Africans, who were mainly from what was the Kingdom of Congo, the countries that are now four countries predominantly, the Democratic Republic of Congo, Cameroon, Angola, then later southern Nigeria, then the Senegal, Gambia, and parts of Mali. They were already acclimated to a tropical climate, and they were very skilled people in the cultivation of rice, but also irrigation. They knew how to live in areas that were very swampy, very
Hmm.
marshy, and they knew how to use that to do the rice dikes. They also were experts in animal husbandry, and they also were experts at using and identifying and using medicinal plants and also adding those plants to their daily diets. That's just
Nice.
a small bit of their talents. Blacksmithing was another one. A lot of people don't know, but South Carolina and Georgia, the a lot of the ironworks that are found throughout this country, even Louisiana, were
Hmm.
originally the works of my ancestors, the Gullah Geechee, here in the coast of Carolina and Georgia. So Gullah, no one really knows the exact origin of the term. Geechee, people believe, come from the Ogeechee River right here in Georgia. But Gullah, they believe, comes from a bastardization of the word Angola, from the country, modern day country of Angola. Excuse me, that they just started saying Gullah, the short end for Gola, because the people were so rebellious, they started saying they didn't want anyone from Angola, and they would sometimes just abbreviate it and say Gola. Or they sometimes believe from the Gola ethnicity that is on the African continent. So no one's entirely sure. But what you can be sure, we speak our own language. I don't know the language fluently, but I know many words from it. And a lot of those words are now words that are found throughout the Southern lexicon in the United States of America, like juke, which means to be wild and out of control. And,
Hmm.
you know, and if you extrapolate that, it means to dance and party to a certain extent. Goober, which you know means peanut. Hag, Nana, which we now usually refer to a grandmother or great grandmother.
Hmm.
Simple words that are now popular throughout the American lexicon are of Gullah Geechee origin. We have our own cuisine, folklore, folk magic, our own familial traditions, and there's so many other things about the Gullah Geechee culture. But if I tell you all of them, you probably wouldn't be as inclined to visit. So I'm gonna keep them a secret. I'll just come down here and learn the rest for yourself.
Oh man. Well, you brought up food, and I cook for a living. So before you go, we gonna have to talk about. I saw that tweet you put up about how y'all had the best food. I might have to
You can
challenge you on that.
tell
I
me,
might have to challenge, but
you know, Louisiana. I know Louisiana came. Alabama stepped up to the challenge. Of course, Georgia, and I welcome
mhm.
all those challenges. Now, I don't
All
cook.
right.
I know the cooks I will recruit.
Say less. You know what? You just gave me an idea. Okay. But like I said, folks, we're talking with Marcel Dixon, who is running for Congress in the great state of South Carolina. And I need all B1s, FBA, ADOS, Freedmen. I need everyone to make sure we get this brother into the positive with the primary. So come November, we can unseat old Jimbo Jangle, Mr. Fish Fry himself. Because I heard they still use bad oil over there. But, you know, we're not going to go there. Not today. Yes, we are. We're going to transition into old Jimbo Jangles. Now, for someone who's been in South Carolina all their life and me looking on the inside, from the outside, can you explain to people how you see Jim Clyburn, how he's helped or hindered your state since his time in office?
How he has helped, I have no idea. But Hinder, how much time do you have? I
Brother,
will.
we could go as long as you need. I could cut this up in two parts. We could go as long as you need.
I need to cut up in five because this. So I mean, how long do I have? But let me give you the short version of it. One. So I tell people it is facts, not feelings, that ultimately matter. Yes, feelings are important, but when it comes to
Mm-hmm.
something like politics, Black American freemen, we have a bad habit of letting our feelings take control and not facts. And the Democrats know that, and the Republicans know that, and both sides take advantage of it. We see, you know, the uh, Ketanji Jackson Brown, who's now might become the first Black woman on the Supreme Court. And
Mm-hmm.
people look at her, they see a Black woman, and they say, wow, the first Black woman on Supreme Court. And you see, we get emotionally involved in having the first Black woman on the Supreme Court. Now, let me be very clear. There should have been several Black women on the Supreme Court by now. Several things should have happened by now. We should have had reparations by now, which I know we're going to get to. But I
Yes,
am
sir.
just not going to be satisfied with a Black woman nor a Black man. What is the policy of this Black woman or Black man? You see, feelings, we're excited to hear a Black woman might get on the Supreme Court. That's great. But what are their policies? What has been her judicial history? Those are the facts that we need to examine.
Mm-hmm.
So here are the facts about James Clyburn.
Yes, sir.
He's been in Congress for 30 years, since 1993. Okay? He was elected in 1992. After 30 years, he has had a majority Black district. He has the sixth poorest district. Now, we have more districts now, but up until 2022, before they confirmed the redistricting of the state lines, we have 435 districts. His district is the sixth poorest district in the United States of America. So out of all of those districts in this country, he has the sixth poorest. We only have five more slots to go before we are the poorest district in which to live in the United States of America. Now, a lot of people say that it's the Republicans' fault because South Carolina is a Republican stronghold. Here's what I say to those people. One, South Carolina is only Republican stronghold because the Democrats suck. Okay? Because South Carolina on paper is the fifth blackest state in the United States of America. And that is with the census undercounting us. We're probably the third or fourth blackest if we're ever counted accurately. That's number one. Two,
Yes, sir.
when James Clyburn signed up to represent our district, he knew South Carolina was a Republican stronghold. You can't sign up for the job and then complain about what you already knew were the conditions and what you were going to face when you signed up to do it. You don't jump in the water knowing it's cold and then complain about the water being cold, okay? But third, James Clyburn, he's been in two meetings that I've been a part of, and he's been in those meetings bragging about how good he's of a congressman he's been, about all the things he's got done for South Carolina and South Carolina District 6. Okay, so here's what I say. If he wants to take credit for this $45 million or whatever that's coming to South Carolina District 6, which, by the way, is woefully, embarrassingly insufficient. But if he wants to take credit for that, okay, let's give him credit for that. But if you're going to take credit for the good, then you also have to take credit for the bad. You cannot have it
Correct.
both ways. You can't take credit for the good things that happen in South Carolina, but then when people say, what about the poverty? What about the high rates of home foreclosures? What about the health care deserts? What about the food deserts? And then when we say those things, you want to blame the Republicans. You cannot have it both ways. If you're going to take credit for the good, you also have to take credit for the bad. And the truth of the matter is, in 30 years, you being the third most powerful person in the United States of America, politically speaking, your district is the sixth force in the entire country, and there is no excuse for that. So he has hindered us because the majority of his district are Black Americans. And if you want to empower a district, you have to empower the people who are living there, especially the majority of the people who are living there. And you look at his legislative record, he has not written one piece of legislation that will empower the Black Americans. I'm not talking about Black immigrants, Black Americans, descendants of American slaves. He has not written one piece of legislation to empower us.
Let me put myself back on the screen. I had to give you all that. I had to just let you rock out. That's why I X'd myself out. I want you to talk to the people. That's crazy. So he's been there for, it's got to be at least 3 decades, right?
Yes. Since
Yeah, and
1992, but assumed
yeah,
office in 1993. So you can say 30 years.
30 years. And I'm guessing outside of Columbia and Charleston and maybe Myrtle Beach is like, that's all people know about South Carolina. But as you stated earlier, there's such a rich history down there. It would behoove him to point that out and get people interested in the state. Maybe you guys can develop things. But it seems he's more about lining his own pockets, getting to Washington, and then claiming, identity politics. And then the identity politics he's claiming doesn't benefit the people. It just benefits him and his inner circle.
May I say something?
Yes, sir.
You don't have to say what it seems like with James Clyburn. He's made it very clear about what are his concerns. When George Stephanopoulos, I believe that's the reporter's name, asked him after the current quote unquote president we have, that's what you want to call him, the segregationist we have who's role playing as a president. He said, you got Biden, the segregationist in chief, you've got him the presidency. He said, what do you feel he owes you, or what would you like him to do for you?
Oh, yeah.
James Clyburn said, out of his own mouth, and I quote, when the guy asked him, the reporter, Mr. Stephanopoulos, what would you like from him? He said, I don't want nothing. All I want is a country where my kids and grandkids can develop and have a productive life. And you know what? You let a person run their mouth enough, and they're going to dig their own hole with their mouth and not with a shovel. He told the truth right there. He said for his kids and grandchildren, here are his children. He has 3 daughters. I don't know them. I'm sure they're wonderful people, but here are the facts. His One of his daughters was appointed to a federal position by Mr. Obama. Okay.
Hmm. Yes, sir.
His second daughter was just appointed to a federal position by Joe Crow or Joe Biden, as people call him. Okay. His third daughter is the political director for the state's Democratic Party. Now,
Yes,
I'm
sir.
running as a Democrat against James Clyburn, and his daughter is the party director for the state. Talk about conflict of interest. His
Hmm.
grandson is his campaign manager and has also been the campaign manager for Pete Buttigieg. So when James Clyburn said that all he wanted was for his children and grandchildren to do well, believe him. My Angel said, when a person shows you who they are, believe them the first time. James Clyburn has been showing us who he is. But he reminded us when that man asked him, what would you like to get from the president? This man has the sixth poorest district in the United States of America, and the third poorest district for children in the United States of America. And
Mm.
he said his only concerns were his biological children and his grandchildren. Believe him when he says that, because he's been showing that to be true.
Uh-oh. Okay.
I was feeling that one.
I hope to God I don't get flagged for that, but that was right. What was that, Twister?
Yes, Memphis Bleak, is that your chick?
Oh, okay. So Marcel, he be listening to New York music. I don't know how that plays down in the South, but
A lot of New Yorkers have South Carolina lineage, so
say
yeah, we can get away with that, right?
say less. All
So
right. So, folks, like I said, I'm talking with Gregg Marcel Dixon, who is running for a seat in Congress, and more importantly, to get rid of James Clyburn, because James Clyburn got to go. That man, he will be nice and say he did his thing for the country, not necessarily black people, but it's time for him to go into the pasture with the rest of them, Nancy and them. They could go have their nice fish fry because they use vegetable oil, not shortening. I'm choosing violence today when I talk about food.
I'm sorry, I want to say I got to push back just a little.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I respect the fact that he was active in the civil rights movement. I respect that.
Right.
I do. And I mean that sincerely.
Right.
But you know what? I've been in relationships, I'm sure a lot of us have. It always starts off well. They
Correct.
have something called the honeymoon period, where everything is beautiful and you're in love, and you come to find out it was probably more infatuation, but you see no wrong in that person, they see no wrong in you. And after maybe like the first 3 months, the relationship goes south. And this guy or this woman that you thought were the best and could do no wrong, that were just wonderful to you all the time, they slap you around, they mistreat you, they take advantage of you, they steal
Mm-hmm.
from you, they take you for granted. Now, 16 years into a relationship of abuse, and you finally confront them about it, it's not sufficient, nor is it acceptable for them to say, well, I was wonderful to you for the first 3 months. Likewise, I will not be held hostage to James Clyburn's status as a person who was involved in the civil rights movement. So was my grandmother. So was my great grandmother. But you know what? A lot of people in South Carolina in my area love to quote the Bible. The Bible says, he that endures to the end is the one that will be saved. Likewise, it's not what you did decades ago. It is what you're doing now. Because the
Correct.
point of the matter is, you are still getting paid now to represent and do for your people. So what you did in the 1960s, that's great. I wasn't born then, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And you are still supposed to represent and provide resources for me and the other constituents here. And on that, you have failed. So people expect me sometimes to bite my tongue because he's an elder and he was involved in the civil rights movement. I will do none of it, because we have to understand as Black Americans, because see, white Americans get this part. There's something white Americans get that we don't get. White Americans get that politicians are supposed to work for us. We don't work
Correct.
for them. For some reason, we have it backwards. We think we're supposed to work for them. We're supposed to praise them. No, we are supposed to hold them accountable. So I will not be intimidated. I will not be guilted into not criticizing him just because he's an elder and he's a civil rights icon. What he did in the 1960s, is not important for this conversation because he's getting paid now in 2022 six figures to represent my district and I. And according to the data, he has failed. And yes, South Carolina is a state of warriors. The Gullah Wars. We fought the United States of America's military longer than any other group of people ever have. They could not conquer us. The first people, the first black people to go to Congress, U.S. Congress, South Carolina. Okay? The largest number of slave revolts, South Carolina. And not just South Carolina, but the coastal people, Gullah Geechie. We are warrior people. We've always stood up and have fought the hard fights. So while I understand that he might be a powerful politician, I also realize the data shows he has been an ineffective one. So I'm going to fight this fight. It don't matter how hard it is. In the same way, our people, my Gullah Geechee, were not defeated when we stood up all those other times. We will not be defeated this time.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That was very passionate. I love that because too many times we get these black politicians and they're just looked at as symbols and we don't hold them accountable for anything, or we hold them accountable when it's too late.
Exactly.
You're supposed to be holding your politician accountable, not the first day they get the jobs, the first day they tell you I'm running. I want to know your platform. I want to know how you're going to get there. I want to know who is going to be on your team. Because nowadays, especially with how you call them, the freedmen, I'm seeing a lot of them, they're saying, I'm checking paperwork from now on. We got to check paperwork because some of y'all move funny. You'll say the nice things, but then we look at your paperwork's not strong. So I respect the fact that you are making sure that you have all your ducks in a row when you go to see this man. I'm manifesting it right now. That's gonna be a hot button campaign come 2022 in November. You versus Clyburn. Everybody's gonna watch that because I think if you defeat him, yes. Well, I'm going. I think you're going to win the primary, but I think
if I win the primary, Clyburn is out, so we don't have to wait until November to get rid of him.
Okay.
If we defeat him in June 14, Clyburn is gone. But I want to say that will not happen, and I'm not trying to do reverse psychology. I am just being direct and straightforward because the truth of the matter is my campaign has picked up steam, and here's how I can prove it. Now, I have been to two of the counties in my district, my native home county, Jasper County, South Carolina, where I am right now, in Williamsburg, South Carolina, a huge majority black county of South Carolina, 70% black. And guess who's been there? You know who. And the state chair for the Democratic Party, the first meeting in which we were featured, and you know they're going to watch all my interviews. They do that. So if he wants to challenge me, go ahead, because they have the little kill file and they have the little backdoor meetings and they have the little kill files, all the lies they're planning to spread. Let them do it. I'm not intimidated in the least by these people. The first meeting we had, the chair for the Jasper County Democratic Party's office, he was handling the caucus and the convention, and the state chair acknowledged that the incumbent was there and a lady who is running for U.S. Senate in South Carolina. And he did not acknowledge me. But that just shows the desperation. Like, they're trying to really ignore me. And then the next one we had, which was yesterday, he had a poster, James Clyburn for Congress. So, and he's the state chair. He should really be neutral. But you know what? I take this all as a sign that they are desperate and afraid. And if a little old teacher from a no-name town, that Clyburn, when he came here, he didn't even recognize where he was. And that it was in front of several people. So I dare him to deny it. The fact that me, a teacher who struggles and works every day, has that man running scared, shows me that we as freemen, Black Americans who are descendants of American slaves, we really don't recognize our power. And if I can do it here with Clyburn, we can do this with all the sellouts and all the do-nothings in office throughout this country. And all I have to ask us is, what are we waiting for? Because I cannot do this alone. I can't do this without the votes, number one, a sufficient amount of votes. But I also cannot do this without people's donations. And I've seen people post my donation link in the chat,
Yeah,
marcelforcongress.com.
I just pinned it.
Right. But even when I get to Congress, though, Kid Gravity,
Yes,
I
sir.
can still can't do it alone. I'm gonna still need y'all to have my back because once I get there, they're already gonna have me as the bullseye on the target. I'm gonna
Hmm.
need y'all to have my back when I say, "Hey, I'm trying to get some legislation passed," but they are trying not to support it, not signing on as a sponsor. I'm gonna need y'all to flood their offices with phone calls, and they're gonna try to primary me every single time. So then I'm
Yeah.
gonna need y'all to keep those donations going. The fight really just begins when I get to Congress.
Yes,
That's when
sir.
the true battle begins.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Again, we're talking with Gregg Marcel Dixon, who is going to unseat Jim. I serve dirt. I fry my fish in dirty oil. Clyburn. So you brought up donations just now. Have you been watching what's been going on in Mason, Tennessee?
Oh yes, I've been a part of it. I've been fortunate to be a part of it. Let me rephrase that. I've been invited to be a part of it. I saw a Twitter space. I heard what was happening and I got involved. And I don't know how the people feel about me saying their names. And I always like to err on the side of caution. So I will
Hmm.
not say anyone's name, but I will say the people who are really have been 10 toes down. That's the new expression. They've
Yes.
really been 10 toes down. And let me tell you, what we have done for Mason, Tennessee shows that y'all got me. If we can save a whole damn town, y'all can get me to Congress. Look at how we mobilize. Save Mason, Tennessee. Well, let's start another one, y'all. Marcel for Congress. But there's another part to Mason, Tennessee that I want to say.
Hmm.
And for those who don't know that are watching, okay, Gravity, if you don't mind, I could tell them real quick. I give them the short
Yeah.
version.
Let me just maximize you. Let me get myself out of there. Go ahead.
Pretty much Mason, Tennessee, a historically black town. I'm gonna start using that phrase. We got historically black colleges, universities. We got historically black towns, and it's been a predominantly freedmen town, like 20 to 30 minutes outside of Memphis, Tennessee, and pretty much the town was once upon a time ran by the majority white town council. And it was rife with corruption, and they ran that town into debt. It was then replaced with a majority black town council. And the mayor and the vice mayor, they pretty much brought the town out of debt and into the black. And not only that, they attracted an investment, the largest investment in the state of Tennessee's history from Ford, who's going to bring a manufacturing plant there. Now, I did research on Mason, Tennessee. The town has historically had a poverty rate of 40%. All of a sudden, though, now that they're about to get the largest investment in the state's history, the majority white GOP electorate wanting to take over the town, rescind their charter, and take
Correct.
over the town, pretty much preventing the majority black American citizens there from having access to the billions of dollars this investment would bring. It's pretty much modern day destruction of black successful towns and cities like we saw in old. They sometimes use fire and burn it down. Sometimes they use water and flood it. And when none of that works, they use a thing called eminent domain, where the government can buy property and take it from American citizens. And you all know the research on eminent domain. It's been used against black Americans the most. And guess which state is ground zero for that? You guessed it, South
North
Carolina.
Carolina.
The Gullah Geechee, my people. Eminent domain destroyed the community where my family had been living for over a century. I'm going to post a picture of Twitter of my community, a picture of me with my grandfather is actually on my website. And you can see the beautiful, rich, verdant community, the swaying trees. Some people ask me, were you in America when you took that picture? Yes, I was. This is how beautiful my community was. And what did they do to get us out of there? Like of old, they either burned it down, flooded it, eminent domain, or sometimes when they really wanted to try to stay behind the scenes, they would run railroads through town. Or what they did to
Yes.
my community, they would run highways through it. And
Yes,
that's what they did
sir.
to my community and broke our community apart. But you see, We couldn't save our communities then, y'all, but we and the people who led the movement and are still leading it, by the way, with that hashtag Save Mason, Tennessee, the initial, the abbreviation TN, are still leading it. Y'all can believe we made our ancestors proud. We shut down the entire state capitol building, the state house of Tennessee, without phone calls, and they saw that we were not playing. Some people I've been seeing on Twitter actually are in Mason as we speak. Some are staying in
Nice.
Mason and driving to Mason. You see, Black Americans, look at us getting on cold, y'all. We know we ain't never gonna be all of us, but it's enough of us. We are like ants or like a pride of lion. You attack one, damn it, you gonna have to deal with all of us. And it warms my heart because I'm from a small town. And I was just thinking the other day, like, what if my community was still around and what they did to my community was about to happen and y'all found out about it? Even though it's too late for my community to be saved, it's gone.
Hmm.
It still warms my heart that if it was happening now, y'all would have been there for me. So, I get very emotional because I think about all our ancestors, our great grandparents, great great grandparents, great 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 grandparents who saw the cities they built from nothing while undergoing state sanctioned terrorism every single day without a penny of the wealth to which they were entitled to build the most successful cities that we know would have been the most successful cities in the world, to see all their hard work, blood, sweat, and tears that they were to leave to us, their children, burnt to the ground. I imagine, and I don't want to throw religion in it, but if people believe in the afterlife and that people are still watching us, I know we all have our different beliefs, but for people who believe in that, you can be sure then that they're looking down on us and they are proud of us. And that's a really wonderful thing.
Yes, sir. Afro Elite said it best: the power of being on code.
Yes, it's
So,
truly powerful. And it just warms my heart because I'm in a small rural town. And sometimes I feel like we've forgotten rural Black America. I feel like we've turned our backs on rural Black America. I sometimes feel like we think that life has to be big flashing lights, you know, big city
mhm.
flashing lights, rooftop bars, and Black
Yeah.
people who are in the rural towns that a lot of us, that's our origins. 90% of Black Americans came from rural America, the rural South, the deep South.
Hmm.
And a lot of us are still here. And sometimes I feel like there's a sense of elitism, not among the people on code necessarily, but among certain segments of Black America. We know the bully definitely, but they're off code and who cares about them? But I'm glad to see that the people when we are on code means for all your people, whether they're in rural, whether they're in suburbia, whether they're
Hmm.
in the urban environment. So I could talk about that all day. So I'm sorry.
No, it's fine, brother. Listen, we need this kind of talk because a lot of our
I
yeah.
want
Go
to do
ahead.
that policy. I had someone tell me I was being paternalizing by saying that land has to be a part of a reparations bill. And they said that I only feel that way because I'm Gullah Geechee. One, I want to say that really shows that the educational system truly does fail Black America.
Yes,
Because
sir.
if anyone thinks that only the Gullah Geechee have had land stolen from us, they've been getting that critical race theory education long before. They got that critical race theory education history.
Yes, sir.
Mississippi actually is the state that has the highest number of acres of land stolen from Black Americans.
Yes, sir.
Mississippi, then South Carolina. So Gullah
Hmm.
Geechees, unfortunately, are not the only group that have had land stolen from us. The thing that makes us special is we have a culture that is very, if the land goes, Gullah Geechee goes. We cease to exist. Our culture is land based. So we are still having our land stolen in modern times. But so are all of Black America
Hmm.
and Black Americans. So land justice is a thing that my platform is very big about addressing. Eminent domain, that's why we have to become a federally protected class. Because if we were federally protected, the same way they cannot touch these reservations that Native Americans have, Wherever we live, and that's why I like to use the term historically black communities, I'm going to say historically freedmen communities, they need to be designated as federally protected landmarks that
Yes,
can
sir.
be bought by via eminent domain. I want people to really read my platform because land is so important. I think we undervalue the importance of land, and we think just getting a nice apartment is it, or getting a home
Mm-hmm.
plot of grass in the front is sufficient. Land is very important to our people.
Yeah.
It was what people fought to keep and had stolen from. That was the number one cause of lynching. So we need that federal class protection.
Yes, sir. And when I discuss reparations on my platform, I always say it would have been nice if that platinum plan that went through, that black Americans take some of that grant money and buy up all those abandoned buildings in these inner cities, because not even so much just to have the buildings, but now you have assets. So you can either turn those into businesses and start getting all these other races out of our neighborhoods, and we can control that money 100%, or you keep it as an asset. And then when they do come in and they want to frequent our areas and they say, okay, I want to set up shop here, we can control the price.
And we still have that opportunity in rural
Yes.
Black America. Now, I
Yes,
want to
sir.
say, April 18th, I want everyone to start tweeting Reparations Day, National Reparations Day, April 18th. We know that is usually known as Tax Day, the day where the government says, okay, where our money, y'all? How dare you say that to freedmen? Let me
Right.
give a quick breakdown. Since 2000, according to Citigroup, now Citigroup is one of the nine bulge banks. These are banks that they say the global economy would collapse if you do
That's,
the
yep.
these banks. Citigroup is one of the nine bulge banks. So for people who want to argue about this study, go check who's handling your money right now.
Yes,
Because
sir.
this study, I promise you're trusting these same people with your money though. Citigroup did a study and they say that anti-black racism has cost the United States of America $16 trillion. The United States of America GDP total is worth 19.2 trillion. Okay, among the highest in the world. However,
Mm-hmm.
I always cite that study, but there's a part that I always leave out that I'm going to mention today. What I forget and neglect to mention is that study says the United States of America has lost $16 trillion since 2000. Okay,
Yep.
that's not even going back to
Into the teens.
1776 or 1619.
19.
Imagine how many trillions of dollars wealthier we would have been as a nation had this country done reparations in 1865.
Mm-hmm.
However, we all know the story. We know we weren't given a dime. But to add insult to injury, the 40 acres and a mule that was done here, where I am right now, y'all, this is where 40 acres and a mule happened. River, South Carolina, just 25 minutes from Savannah, Georgia, where the 20 pastors met with General Sherman. This is sacred Black American freeman land here. My family has property from Special Field Order 15 and from the Port Royal experiment. Imagine do we hear the pain and the cries of our people when they saw the Confederates who were traitors to this nation, when they saw that racist piece of pisting scum, Andrew Johnson, give the property back to the people who had turned on this country. Imagine what they saw seeing the people who had enslaved them, raped them, mutilated them, get that property back. Imagine the pain when they saw the Black Wall Streets burnt to the ground, when they had to go through Jim Crow and redlining and lynch mobs, or the FHA, the Federal Housing Administration, which is supposed to help make owning a home more accessible, but instead they had a memo with guidelines to destroy Black communities. That's what we got.
Yeah.
How dare this government come to us on April 18th and tell us to pay? No, y'all. I need everyone. And y'all, look, we can do this right now. National Reparations Day, or if you want to do the shorter version, Reparations Day, April 18th. My reparations plan will be released. And some of the things you mentioned, I can tell you are going to like it. April 18th, it's coming.
Cool, cool. And as you were talking before, I donated to your fund. So I didn't. I'm gonna probably switch it to monthly or weekly. I mean, we got to help you any way we can. If it's donating, like I said, having you here on the platform, retweeting your stuff. I mean, we if you guys are really B1 and you're really for black people, this has got to be a candidate that we need to have represent us, because you can hear the sincerity and the anger in his voice. And this is not for a photo op, because it's just me and him talking. It's not like he's standing in front of 500 people acting like a pastor on Sunday, Easter Sunday, because that's a whole different level on Easter Sunday, a whole different level. But just to hear you talk about the history, because again, like you said with CRT, they don't teach our kids this. I certainly did not know this. I had to spend my adult years learning things like this, because I guess they don't want these kids to have an uprising in school, but they encourage uprisings in school for the wrong reasons.
They don't want the black kids to have an uprising. And we are the only group of people in the country who have a legitimate reason to have an uprising, because we've gotten zero, nada, for all the stuff we've been through government sanction. Now, let me make this very clear to the white
Yes, sir.
people who hear reparations and they run up that house and do that whole Macaulay McCalkin scream looking up at the sky. The Negroes are coming. The Negroes are coming. Let me tell you something. First of all, white Americans who are not on code, and because if a white Americans will be on code too. John Brown was a white American on code. He and his sons, they were like, "We gonna die. We gonna die going out fighting for the black American people because they are being treated wrong, and we can't sit and talk about we about justice and let that go." And they put their lives on the line. They sacrifice their lives. That's what a true ally looks like. An ally is not what you see this Mackenzie Bezos woman doing, trying to pay for
Oh
black women
yeah.
to put my children into extension. That's not an ally. An ally is not these white liberals writing me, making fun of my hats. That's probably worth more. And their little stink behind Pilates class, 30-year membership put together. Okay. But to white people who are on cold, or white people who really don't understand reparations, let me explain to them very quickly. Because they're all white people who like my platform. They see that just because I'm running as a Democrat, don't mean I support all the anti-blackness that the Democrats are for. Because there are certain things that the Republicans have that are actually that or stances they have that are good for our community. Not saying they care about our community, because they don't. They're anti-black too. Both parties are.
Right.
But the
Correct.
Republicans are generally speaking, not really, but they are generally speaking publicly anti-illegal immigration. Democrats want to have illegals flood the country and give them and reward them for doing it. Illegal immigration hurts black Americans. The data backs it up. So does legal immigration if it goes to a level that is too high. So
Correct.
a lot of white Americans like the fact that I am for reining in the levels of legal immigration and doing away with illegal immigration. I'm not for amnesty. I am for abortion being only for exceptional circumstances. I feel that we provide people with strong family support, giving women access to contraceptives, the morning before pill, the morning after pill, and we give strong support for families and an economy where childcare is provided free of charge for women. Social services to help struggling families is provided. Food is provided for children. That will change the reality that a lot of families struggle with right now, which might makes having a family so expensive. Another thing, I am pro Second Amendment, because if any group needs to be armed and well armed, it is Black Americans, freemen. However, a lot of white Americans then say, well, I didn't have any slaves, so why should I have to pay? Well, that's one other discussion we can have. But one, you're not going to pay. Reparations is a debt that the federal
Federal
government owes
government.
Black Americans. Not one American taxpayer will pay a penny to Black Americans, nor will they see their taxes increase. And before someone screams, what about the debt? The debt, the debt, the debt. Let me tell you, and I'm going to say this right now and clear. America is a monetary sovereign, meaning we can generate our own currency. Alan Greenspan, Ben Bernanke, those are just two of the chairs of the Federal Reserve, the entity that makes sure the United States of America never falls into a fiscal crisis. Both of them said that the United States of America can never run out of money and can never not pay all of its bills. And we see that in action. Right now, they sent trillions of dollars to Ukrainians.
Yes,
Some of the
sir.
same people, Mitch McConnell, screaming about the debt. Kevin McCarthy screaming about the debt. We're all for sending trillions of dollars to Ukraine. Now they're about to send $800 billion, and they sent trillions of dollars in military equipment. Not only that, they're about to bring over 100,000 Ukrainians. Where you got
And put money in their
Americans living in
pocket.
the street. You got
And
a better, huh?
and put money in their pocket.
Homes, food, housing, education. Now, where is all this concern about the debt? Oh, wait a minute. There's more. They are about to pay illegal immigrants $450,000 in reparation per illegal,
Mm-hmm.
not family. Every single
Single
illegal
person.
was going to
Yeah.
get $450,000. Where's all this concern about the debt? They're not. Here's why. That is simply a myth that they use to try to scare American citizens from supporting policies that they know will be good for America. That is really just U.S. Treasury bonds that banks usually buy, and the American government pays them on interest. And that's how
Mm-hmm.
they are able to give out loans. That's how states are able to help collect taxes, those U.S. Treasury bonds. So that actually helps put money into the economy. But at any point, the American government can simply buy back those Treasury bonds, which people call yellow dollars, and
Dollars.
give them green dollars. There
Dollars.
is
Yes,
no
sir.
such thing as debt. And they show it all the time. The only time debt suddenly becomes a real thing is when it's time for them to pay the real debt, the only debt this country has, and that's to Black Americans, freedmen. So
Yes,
white
sir.
Americans stop being food. To Black Americans who say, I feel we're owe reparations, but I don't see how we're going to make it happen, you need to tune in to hear my reparations plan April 18th. But I really just told you how it can happen. The federal government can pour trillions into other groups. They can sure as hell do it for us, and they are going to. That's why I'm running for Congress.
Yes, sir. And more passion. I love it. So, like I said, I'm here with Gregg Marcel Dixon, who is running for the great state of South Carolina, hoping, but we're not going to say hope because somebody in 2008 said hope, and you saw what happened with that, folk. But we're not going there today.
Y'all, no, yeah, don't say hope.
Yeah, no hope. We are
Y'all
going to
know
manifest this man to kick out Jim. Hey, I know the fish is oily, but just sop it up with the bread, Clyburn, and get him up out of there. So in November, we can have a new Democratic representative in South Carolina, who hopefully, I would hope, would become a soldier in dismantling the current Black Caucus, because most of them got to go.
Oh, no, no. Let me speak on that.
Go ahead,
Dismantle,
brother.
dismantle them. I'm going to replace them. I'm not joining the Black Caucus. I'm going to start the Freedmen Caucus. That's an idea I borrowed from. It was inspired to support from former reparationists, U.S. Senate candidate in Georgia, Tamara Shealy Johnson. I'm going to start a Freedmen Caucus. I'm not joining the Black Caucus. Let me tell you something. I have had people tell me it don't work like that. And I'm not talking about, you know, the vote blue no matter who, black people, and those type of people. No, I'm talking about other so-called reparationists, people who talk about some of their revolutionaries and about that life. I've had some of them ask me questions that when they ask me, you would think I'm running a traditional race. Ain't nothing traditional. Reparations is a revolution. It shouldn't be, but it really is going to be one for this country. I'm not running a run-of-the-mill campaign. So I said to them, let me tell you something. Don't tell me it don't work that way. There has never been a time in this country's history where we as Black Americans have not stood up and said, the system doesn't work for us. Okay, we ain't trying to work within the confines of the system. We're going to change the system to one that does work for us. And that's what I'm going to do when I get to Congress. I'm not going to try to join the Black Caucus and change it from the inside out. If I see that they are still the illegal immigrant and people of color and everyone but Black Americans caucus, I am going to start the Freedmen caucus. If I have to be the first member and the only member, then so be it. But that's what a leader does. When you see the system has not been working for the people you serve, you change the system to one that does work.
Yes, sir. I just to see you in November go up there and say I'm part of the Freeman Caucus and watch all them bootlegs just turn their nose up at you. That'd be great.
But y'all, they're after me now. So there was this white lady, and that's how she identifies herself. She's a Democratic insider, she said. Now, I don't trust her from a can of paint, but she told me some things, and everything she said has been happening that she said was coming down the pipeline, not involving me necessarily, but major developments politically. She said that the Democrats were going to soon have enough votes for HR 40. And what do you know? Just 2 or 3 weeks ago, they did. And she told me that weeks before. So if what she said is true, then she said that I have been getting a lot of buzz, not just here in South Carolina. She said, but even in Washington. She said, everyone's been talking about me. And she said, both parties, to a certain extent, are afraid of me. The Republicans, because they feel that I will be too unpredictable. But the Democrats are pissed scared. Whereas some of the Republicans, I guess because they see I'm not going to be a go along, get along, and they know that I am not for illegal immigration, and they know that I am for dealing with issues that cause abortion instead of pushing abortion on Black people so we can import ourselves into extinction, that they can see me as useful. I don't care about what they think. Here's what I want to say. They are already plotting against me. If they're afraid of me, these people with far more money, far more connections, you already know they have a kill file on me. That is why my people, when I ask for donations, or I say something like I have 3,000 followers, now I have 4,000, over 4,000 actually. I have 4,000 followers on my campaign's Twitter account, and I say if each of you just gave $3, I can have $12,000 a month. I'm saying that because I need that, because I'm not going to get support from anywhere else. If it doesn't come from y'all, it's not going to happen. So if there are people out there who can donate, marcelforcongress.com/donate, because my campaign, once upon a time, I used to be able to do everything. That lasted for about 3 months. Now, it's like 6 of us. I have security, I have communications director, I have a volunteer coordinator, I have a campaign manager, a political strategist, I have my treasurer, I have my IT person, and we are now having to expand because we all can barely keep up with everything coming our way. We're getting a flood of interview requests. We're getting a flood of requests to make appearances. So my thing is this: if you are a person out there who's for reparations and you see the dire straits our people are in, and if you don't know them, let me give you a few statistics. Black Americans have lost 14 million of the 15 million acres we owned. Okay?
Wow.
We have less land now. We've lost 80% of it since 1969. We are almost a homeless, landless people. That's number one. Two, while other groups have seen their wealth and income go up, Black American wealth is heading towards zero. 20% of Black American families as of 2019 were already in the negatives, and we're all heading down. That's number two. Three, Black Americans have the lowest median income. A person can enter the country illegally and within a year or two have higher levels of wealth and income than we have. Four, our level of home ownership is lower now than it was in the 1960s when it was legal to discriminate against us via Jim Crow and redlining. Five, Black men have the shortest lives of any other group, and years have actually recently been taken off. Six, Black women are 5 times more likely to die giving childbirth and have higher levels of infertility than other women of other racial ethnic groups. All this goddamn talk about abortion, and McKinsey Bezos want to help fund abortions for Black women so we can abort ourselves into extinction. Where is the funding for us to have children, to have families? Hell, I'm a gay Black man. I would still love to have beautiful Black children. Where's the funding for surrogate motherhood? We're the funding to help bring more black people into this world. Why is Mackenzie Bezos here in America trying to have black women get more abortions, and Bill Gates is over there telling black Africans don't have as many children? Why are they always trying to stop us from having children while telling illegal immigrants you get to stay in the country because you have children? Why? What's that? They don't add up. I don't know which number I was on, but here's 7. In 2020, the number of black women dying from children actually increased, even though a congresswoman just recently, Laura Underwood, a young black congresswoman in a majority white Republican district, did introduce a bill to address the matter. I want to say something about that real quick. This woman has only been in Congress since 2018. She's already done a bill about an issue affecting black people. Clyburn's been in there for 30 years, and he never wrote one bill about that, even though South Carolina is one of the states with the worst health outcome. Okay, where did I stop? Oh, 8. Over some areas, over 80% of black boys and girls are not reading and doing math on grade level nor above. Now, there are reasons for that we can get into, but we'll talk about that later. Okay, 9. Black Americans are between 15 and 20% of the population. The census never counts us right. We've never been counted correctly or accurately. We've been undercounted since the beginning. But it's definitely not as high as this number. We make up over 55% of the homeless. Okay? So I want to say to people, we are in dire straits. So if you have a platform or if you have the means, I'm not entitled to your support. But seeing who I'm up against, knowing this man has probably been the biggest threat to black political representation, how do you not say, let me do what I can to help get rid of this person? What would it take, especially if you have money, what does it take from you to say, okay, I'm worth $3 million. Let me just get, you can only give me up to $2,900. Don't give any more than that. What does that really take from a person? I'm just saying what you just said. I'm echoing what you just said. If we truly want change, it's unfair and unfair that we always have to fight battles to get things that we should have had a long time ago. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said the same thing. But we are special people. And when we fight, we win. But we wouldn't have to fight as long if all of us were still in our own age.
Yes, sir. Those stats are crazy.
They're disgusting.
Again, and they're disgusting, and they, again, just like with the education, they don't want to tell us that because they know we mobilize like that. But we need we got to paint them walls in Washington black. I'm sorry. No more white buildings. It's got to be black buildings now because this is
no more vote blue.
Yeah, no more vote blue.
Vote black. Like I said to people,
Oh,
I
black.
am not a Republican first. I'm not a Democrat first. I'm black first, and Black American Gullah Geechie first.
Yes, sir. That's why I say be one over everyone.
That.
Yes. So I asked in the chat if anybody has a question, and somebody did have a question for you. So Gina Bourne asked, have you spoken with Armstrong Williams, and will he give you media coverage?
I have not spoken with Armstrong Williams, and I might know to whom you're referring, but right now my mind is drawing blank. So Gina, if you know, here's what I tell my supporters, y'all. At this point, there are so many people reaching out to me, and I am not too proud to reach out to people. But I tell people, if there's someone you feel with whom I should have contact or make a connection with, by all means, please reach out to them on my behalf. Because really, y'all reaching out to them on my behalf, it impresses them a lot more than me reaching out to them on my behalf.
Right,
you get what I'm saying? Right.
Yeah, as soon as I get off of this, I'm gonna start tweeting to Jason Black and what's his name? And Tariq. See, because with those platforms, I'm talking about like over 150,000 people. So right
Tariq
there,
has actually been very supportive of my campaign, so I'm pretty sure. I mean, yeah, he's been very supportive. He and I have actually spoken, so I'm not saying don't reach out, but he and I have actually spoken. He's been very, very supportive. You know, I know people like to say he's a polarizing figure, but you know what? We're black American. They say that about every black American that's on call. We're polarizing. Right. My point is this: when the ADOS movement and the FBA movement had coalesced, you couldn't go anywhere on this here internet and not hear about reparations. And when that was
Correct.
happening, he was all for reparations. And you know what? He's helped. And I tell people this story all the time. I've said it before. So this is not me, you know, brown nose. And this is me saying something I've said before. And there's other interviews where I have mentioned it. I remember coming home back in, I don't know if it was 2007, 8, it was early 2000s. And my brother, you know, a street guy and his friends, you know, guys in the street, you know,
Hmm.
I'm not hood, but the streets ride heavy with me. So, yeah, I can like, they do it cookout. I would be there eating with them. The streets rock with me.
Exactly.
They know I'm not about that life, but the streets roll with me. So I came home, and it was like 12 of them in my living room. My brothers and I lived together. It was like 12 of them in our living room, glued to the television. I had no idea what they were watching. So when they finally left, I went out there and I saw what's it called, Hidden Colors, a
Yeah.
Hidden Colors DVD. I don't know which volume, which set, but the point was I have never seen anyone had a reach with black men who a lot of politicians like to ignore because they don't believe they're going to register to vote. They're not politically engaged. We need people like the Tariqs because they can reach that type of population. And that
Correct.
population we need. Because when stuff go down, those are the type of people who will be on the streets and be like, come over here and try something with my people. Try it.
Right. Right.
So
Exactly.
we need Tariq. Everyone plays their role.
Bro.
And
Yes.
Tariq holds a very important role to play. Your role is important. My role is important. No one should ever discount their role when you are on call pushing for your people.
Correct. Correct. All right. We have another question for you from B1 Beauty Supply. She asks, "What is meant by former reparationist Tamar Jackson?"
No, she's still a reparationist. She's running for U.S. Senate against
Uh,
Raphael Warnock, who's from a impoverished, impoverished projects here in Savannah, Georgia. I drive by it all the time, several times a week, and it's still impoverished. And he's done nothing
you
to
ain't
help
lied.
them. But he's tweeting, "Pray for Ukraine," while
Exactly.
the church where he is a pastor has black people living in cardboard boxes.
Boxes.
But
Yes,
because
sir.
he's a pastor, we're not supposed to be able to criticize him. You see, that's what I'm saying about black Americans. One thing about white Americans don't mind yelling at their politicians and cursing them out because
Mm-hmm.
they understand you work for me, God damn it. Black Americans, we got this whole thing backwards. We think we work for them. You know what?
And
I will never say for us to be like white people, but that's one area where we can learn from them. They know
yes,
they
sir.
know what the hell they're gonna do,
Yeah,
and we need to just like that too. So this pastor is saying prayers for Ukrainians, while he has black Americans in Savannah, Georgia. That's 54% black, but black people make up 80% of the homeless. 60%, 70% of those in poverty. And the mayor there did a task force for Asian Americans, Hispanics, LGBTQ, but nothing for the majority Black Americans who built the Savannah, Georgia, whose culture attracts and brings in the billions of dollars to Savannah. So there you go.
yeah. I need that man to go.
They all
I,
need to, and I'm not.
yeah, I'm on a crusade right now with my platform to basically out all the Black Caucus that is up right now, especially old Mad Maxine. She's like the final boss. I might have to do like a whole live stream on her, but that Black Caucus gotta go because it doesn't make sense for them to collect two checks and get all this support from black people and they do nothing
Just because they're black.
except yell at the Republicans all day.
And talk about, and no, Corey Bush and Jamal Bowman both were the closest thing in modern times that we thought were going to be reparations when they got there.
Right.
I absolutely, I don't want to say hate. So let me just,
Strongly dislike.
I am disgusted with both of them. They got there. When was the last time either one of them mentioned reparations in a way that they both could write legislation? Has either of them written a bill, a true reparations bill? I don't want to hear no goddamn HR 40. Here's the thing
No.
with HR 40. HR 40 was introduced in 1989. Okay, the Democrats had a full majority control from 1993 to 1995. Okay,
Correct.
then they had it again from 2008 or 9 to
2000.
2013.
Yeah,
And HR 40 sat there all that time. So don't try to mention HR 40 when you see black people are finally starting to wake up and realize you ain't doing a damn thing for it. They pull out the HR 40 card. They think they're doing something. First of all, by that time, you could have written a real reparations bill. That's what I'm going to do the first thing I get to Congress. That all congressmen, my people, have the ability to write legislation. You write the legislation you feel people should have. So you can't write legislation for black people because that will be deemed unconstitutional. But it's not for black people. Reparations does not go to all black people.
It goes to descendants of American slavery. Right,
who
freedmen.
are descendants of American slaves. And you can write bills for people of certain lineages. America does it all the time. They did it for the Japanese Americans who were interned. They didn't give a check to all Japanese. They only gave it to the ones that went through the internment. For Native Americans, they didn't write legislation for all Native Americans to get land in the Southwest. That was only Native Americans such as the Apache. They do legislation for groups all the time, such as the 9/11 descendants of people who died in 9/11. They have their own little GI Bill that the government does for them because they went through that. So we as Black Americans went through 9/11, Holocaust, times 500,000. They can do it, and I will do it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You been dropping a lot of knowledge tonight, brother. I appreciate it. See, black folks, you can even learn something on a Friday night instead of watching, wrestling and all that. I should be watching wrestling now, but this is more important. And like I said, I'm here with Gregg Marcel Dixon, who is running for Congress from the great state of South Carolina, who is going to upset old Jim. I understand that the French fries are cold, but this is all I could get because of the supply chain Clyburn. Let's have fun because I'm choosing violence right now. You mentioned South Carolina food. We got to talk. Now, what makes South Carolina food better than any other food?
Well, first, let's start with the obvious barbecue. Texas can keep their little beef.
Those are fighting words. You know how black folks are with their barbecue. That's fighting words. Go ahead.
Kansas City, no one even knows where you are. You don't know if you exist on Missouri. No one even knows you exist. I don't even think anyone lives there.
Wait a minute. You trying to say that they don't know if they're in Missouri or Kansas? Is that what you're trying to say?
In Kansas City, even a real place, anyone's ever even been there before? So
no.
Anyone's ever even been there before? Like I don't know if that's a real place. Okay. North Carolina, whatever you did, we done did it before and we did it better. The only thing y'all done better than us is racism against black people. Y'all have more stand members than us.
I do have to respect was it Rodney Scott with the whole hog down there in your state.
No, well, that's something. Okay. That's all
Hemingway. I gotta give him his props for that. Him and his family.
The white sauce, but it looks like vomit. So I don't know.
The Alabama sauce, the white sauce?
The white sauce, it looks like vomit. That's vomit. It looks like a cat gagged or something. So
no.
I'm choosing balance. North Carolina
and vinegar.
Nope, ketchup. This is really ketchup. That's what it tastes like. So at the end of the day, if you want real barbecue, you got to come to South Carolina. We got Carolina Gold, and it's sweet, it's tangy, it's spicy, and it is savory at the same time.
Did KFC rip off you guys from that?
The Carolina Gold barbecue, yeah, that's a South Carolina thing.
Yeah, KFC ripped that off from you guys, right? And called it Georgia Gold.
They did like the Memphis hot chicken, red hot chicken. They did the Carolina Gold barbecue wings. Yeah, that's a Carolina thing. South Carolina Gold. Now that's one thing. When you have real barbecue, and like you said, that whole hog that we put in the metal band and stuff. Oh yeah, y'all gotta come taste it. Or sometimes they used to dig a hole in the ground,
and bury it right
there, and do the hole right there in the ground. Gotta taste it. Okay, that's one. Second of all, rice. You know how they say there's like 1,000 ways to cook chicken? Well, in South Carolina, we know that, but we got 1,000 ways to cook rice. Red rice, Hoppin' John, dirty rice, steak purloo, chicken chicken purloo, uh, seafood purloo. You name a rice, you will be bewildered. We have a rice festival here in South Carolina where you can get rice. They see how many different ways can you make rice. Of course, we have
Mm.
different ways to do rice pudding. That's one. Shrimp and grits, crab cakes, oxtail stew.
Watch it.
Okra.
Hey, I'm Jamaican. Don't. I'm
Oh,
Jamaican. Don't do that
uh,
about the moxtails, boy.
well,
Don't do that.
come on now. Jamaica's
Oh,
drizzle.
you really choosing
Now,
violence.
wait, because now that we also have an okra stew we do. We have our
Hmm.
gumbo. Our gumbo is tomato and okra gumbo. So Louisiana does like a roux. We do a nice savory tomato sauce. Sometimes we
Okay.
just do tomato and okra, but we also have an okra stew, which is pan-seared okra, garlic, onions, sausage, and broiled pan-seared shrimp.
Okay.
So also, we have a thing called my great grandmother used to call them drop biscuits. They're like a
Yeah.
crab. They're like not. I mean, I'm sorry, like a corn cake. It's like a corn cake. We also are the home of hush puppies. That
Yes,
y'all didn't
sir.
know that, did you? Hush puppy came from South Carolina. So did soda. Now I'm not a soda person, but soda, South Carolina. Ginger ale, South Carolina. What else? What else? What else? Shrimp and grits, South Carolina.
Yeah.
Boiled peanuts. Now,
Yes, I knew that the grits and the peanuts that I knew.
right. And
Even though Georgia wants to claim it, but you know.
no, they better. Georgia came from South Carolina, y'all. Let me put the secret out there because Georgia's gonna be mad at me. I may not be able to go to Savannah for a few weeks, so let me do my appointment. I was born in Savannah, Georgia. Georgia, I got love for y'all. I love North Carolina only because of Nina Simone. That's the only reason, really. But so
Mm,
Georgia came from South Carolina. So really, here's what happened. Oberthorpe was given a plot of land in the southern part of South Carolina, and that became Georgia. So really, Georgia was once just South Carolina. So everything they got from us. Georgia, you have no
right.
originality. You really just took away South Carolina. Okay,
You know
yeah.
I'm gonna cut that up and put it out there.
You have to edit that part. You have to edit that part out. No, the boiled peanuts in South Carolina, and we have the spicy. They sometimes use Cajun to sell it. I hate that they use Cajun because there ain't nothing Cajun about South Carolina. That's Gullah Geechie through and through. But we
Right.
also have the sweet ones we do. So
Hmm.
what else? We have benet wafers. Benet wafers, it tastes like a soft cupcake sugar cookie, like
Mm.
sesame seeds, but we make wafers with it. There's so many dishes here. I can give them all.
I'm not that far from the line of South Carolina, so I might have to come up
You're
there when it get warmer.
in Atlanta?
Yeah,
We
I think
have
we're about like an hour and a half away from Greenville.
We do this, yeah, y'all are. Well, Greenville's the upstate now. See, dishes in South Carolina are regional. A lot of dishes I'm thinking are coastal, rice and all that stuff.
So you're saying Greenville's upstate?
Greenville's the upstate. Upstate.
Okay. Okay.
You abide Greenville's the upstate, and right above Greenville's the Blue Ridge Mountains. We're
Right.
the coast. The coast is the home of the Gullah Geechee, the Sea Island Creole. That's us. A lot of the dishes I'm naming are Creole, Sea Island Creole dishes. We also have the tomato watermelon salad. Very good. We
Yes.
also do a peach pudding. We got banana pudding, but we do like a peach dessert with wafers. Vanilla wafers. It's very good. Sounds weird, but it's very good. It's almost like a fruity and crunchy type popsicle thing. But
Okay.
also we have a bread. People call it red. Some people call it monkey bread. I don't know. That's not my grandmother. She just called it sweet bread. It's like molasses type bread. It's like a French toast type cake. You just gotta come. You gotta come experience it for yourself.
I'm definitely gonna come up there this summer. But I got
Chocolate.
some more questions for you.
Okay.
So B1 Beauty Supply got another one. She said, should Native Black Americans be a recognized protected class similar to Native Hawaiians, Native Americans, and Native Alaskans?
Yes, but no, but because we should get more than they have. They get what they have. We actually did the labor that built this nation. So we deserve a federally class protected status that supersedes what Pacific Islanders and Native Alaskans get. Now, right now, they get more than us because we don't get nothing. They barely even want to recognize what we're owed. While people usually recognize that Native Americans went through injustices, we deserve not just recognition. Our protected class status has to include that wherever communities we in, even we're not on federal land set aside for us, if I go to a community and they want to do some development in that community, if my neighbors are not freedmen, they can be susceptible to eminent domain, okay, whatever. But the moment you want to do something with my home, you will have to go through a lot of red tape to get something done to me. And that type of federal class protection, no group has currently, where it follows them even when they're not on federally set aside enclave or federally set aside territory from them. That's the type of federal class protection I am pushing, whether it's in a hospital, because my platform calls for us, of course, land justice, but a part of that is for us to have a reservation type system throughout all 50 states, because none of these states would exist without us. So freemen will have our own post offices, banks, hospitals, schools, and only freemen and their family will be able to live on these enclaves. We won't have to, and we will still have land outside of there, but I plan for us to have that, but also to have federal class protected status outside of that, because people often think federal class protection means if you do something to me, something bad will happen to you. No, I'm talking about class protected status, that our name cannot be used. If our culture is monetized, we have to benefit from it. The music industry that would not exist without our culture, we will have a stake in it. Okay? That's the type of federal class protection to which I am referring. Stay tuned. That's going to be my reparations plan as well.
Cool. Okay, we have another question as well. This one is from Tia to you. Brother Marcel, do you have a plan to prevent for-profit incarceration?
Oh, there should not be for-profit incarceration. So that goes to that federal class protected status as well. Another part of my plan is I'm going to bring back the Freedmen's Bureau. The Freedmen's Bureau, for those who don't know, was a department of the government that was supposed to make sure that freedmen were fed, protected, had land, had housing, had fair wages, had jobs, and were never, ever, ever victims of anti-Black racism. Had they been allowed to do their job, we would have had reparations a long, long time ago. They also want to make sure we were well educated and well cared for. The Freedmen's Bureau, the reason I am going to bring it back is because, y'all, there are too many issues for one congressman to address. But we have an arm of the government, and but the way I'm going to write the bill, the Freedmen's Bureau will be funded by the government, but it's going to act independently. So that way the government can't put any of their little trolls and agents in there. All you do is give them money, get the hell going. We can staff it with people that we trust. That's my plan for the Freedmen's Bureau. The government is going to fund it because they goddamn have the responsibility, because the issues that they're going to be looking into, the government caused. So when you think about, look at all the Black women that are going missing. And Black men too. We talk about Black women a lot. We need to do the status. There are tens of thousands of Black men missing as well. Now, some of those are people who might just did not check in with a family member, and they never checked in with a local priest, and they're considered missing. But some are literally missing. And people have speculated as Oregon farming, and hell, we can't put anything past this government because they've done that to our people. The Freedmen's Bureau will look into that. Look at the health disparities. Freedmen's Bureau will look into that.
Yes, sir.
All the issues that impact us for profit incarceration, federally class protected status is going to help protect us, but the Freedmen's Bureau is going to be the arm of the government that's going to help us deal with things like that.
Okay. Brother Black Voltron had a question for you. It's kind of funny. This man said, hold on, not tomato sauce gumbo. He's intrigued by this.
Tomatoes and okra.
Tomatoes and okra. I just got schooled on something. I did not know about tomato sauce gumbo.
I'm going to invite someone to come down and taste it.
I tell you, I'm not that far. As soon as it warms up, I'm coming up to South Carolina.
Greenville may not have these type of dishes though. They're more of a coastal thing. Gullah Geechie stuff on the coast.
No, I'm going to the coast. I'm not
Right.
gonna go up
To the
north. I'm going to
coast.
the course. Yeah, I'm gonna go up and then I'm going to go east. No, because apparently they said that the water is where the good food is.
Yes, it is.
Yes, sir. All right. Georgia might not let you in, but I'll put in a good word.
Georgia won't forgive me. Georgia knows we family. We fight. Georgia talk trash about us too, so we all fight.
Yeah, that's what
Like
I'm
we fight.
saying.
People don't know the origin of the battle. James Brown started it. We fight over who claims James Brown. So that's the
Right.
origin of our Georgia South Carolina battle.
Okay, and I have a personal question. So let's say someone like me who's trying to learn more about Black America. Is there any places in South Carolina that I should go visit?
The old market in downtown Charleston.
Okay, the old
The
market.
old
Okay.
market in downtown Charleston. Prepare yourself because it's a market and you can guess whom they were selling. You
Yes,
can just
sir.
look at the design of it. But there's a museum attached to it, and you can pick up the phone and hear stories of people who were formerly enslaved in South Carolina. And let me tell you, those stories are haunting.
Mm,
Yeah. Now I'm getting goosebumps right now talking about it. Even
yeah.
kids, when I bought them there, they was like, Mr. Dixon, I don't want to listen to the rest of them because teachers were encouraging them to, and my kids do what I tell them because they know I don't play. But when I saw look on face, I was like, I don't want to hear another one, and I didn't need to. It's creepy, it's
Yeah.
disturbing. You can hear the sadness in our ancestors and parents' voices. You can hear the rage in their voices. You can the level of violence. The one I heard that I stopped was where the lady said that they wanted to sell her, but she had a baby, and the human trafficker was trying to get the other human trafficker to purchase her, but the guy did not want to be responsible for baby, and the human trafficker took a brick and beat her baby to death right there in front of her.
Wow.
And when you could hear the heartbreak and the rage in her voice,
Mm,
and she said she gave that person hell after that. So she sent her back to the original enslaver, and she said she gave him hell every second. She threw
mm,
bricks. She said in one night she almost killed him by throwing a brick and hit him in his head.
wow.
May we never forgive. I am not a forgiving person, and I thank God for that. I love that for me. I love that
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah. They always, especially them politicians, they love telling you forgive, forgive, forgive.
Not,
Nah,
not
you
me.
can't forgive.
I ain't forgiven. I'm sure as hell ain't gonna forget. And that's why I tell people don't make Marcel. I'm not any leader of a reparations movement because I want us to be like Hydra. You call off one head
And
and eight more going to appear. That's how we got to be, y'all.
yes, sir.
So all of us got to start filing the run federally and put
Yeah.
these people on notice.
Yeah, that's why, like you said earlier, this is why I'm very proud of the people down in Macy, because especially on Twitter, they put out that person's phone, that office phone number, boy, and every day I see pictures, I just call them. They're like, "What you niggas want?" They sound like DMX and Cisco in that song. What y'all niggas want? Leave me alone.
Well,
I was gonna go.
do they really want the answer about what we want?
Yeah,
Because if that's what they're asking, I got the answer about what
yeah.
we really want.
And I think the other reason why they don't want to build that blue oval city is because it's going to benefit Memphis as well, and
Well,
they
not
need to
just that,
keep
though. Here's the
Mhm.
good news. Memphis is overwhelmingly black, right? But the
Right.
mayor has been on Twitter Spaces. I was in a room with him, and I said to the mayor, we need to start advocating for you, all black mayors, freedmen mayors who are on code or even think they are. You should be advocating for black American freedmen to move to your cities and town, especially if you are in the southern states. Let us come back south. We were chased from here. Our
Mhm.
parents really never wanted to leave. Let's come back south and reclaim this rich cultural region that is ours.
Yes, sir. Tia TU has another question. It's actually an important one, especially for me as a father. A lot of black folks are moving to homeschooling at their own expense. Do you have a plan for redirecting our educational agenda?
Yes, I do. And that's the first time I've been asked that. So here's the thing. One, I'm going to change the way that public schools are funded. First of all, schools are funded currently by property taxes. That's dumb. Because if you're born in a poor area, you're going to get a far lower amount of revenue for property taxes. The richer areas, far more. So the rich kids get richer, literally,
Yes,
and the
sir.
poor kids stay poor and get poor. That's not the way it should be. There should be a state standard to meet for all kids to get a high level education. Each county puts up what they can, and the state fills in the rest to make sure every county can reach that standard. That's a public school, right? Outside of that, here's something that might surprise people. I believe in school choice. Now, I know people think
Yes,
that's a
sir.
Republican plot to try to resegregate schools, and guess what I hear? So what? So what? I would love for black children to have black teachers because the data shows that black children actually do much better when they have black teachers, especially black men as
Yeah.
their teachers.
Yes,
So
sir.
what is so bad about us giving parents options, giving community options to start their own schools? You say we as black people, we let the Democrats scare us of some things. School choice will help us. That will give a lot of black people, because we are intelligent, we are the most intelligent people. Look at all the things we've invented without having any formal schooling. Sometimes we were on the plantation being illiterate and we were inventing stuff. We know how to teach our children. What we lack is the time and the resources, from whether that's money monetarily, whether that's a curriculum, whether that's access to getting a building or building a building. If my plan will help us be able to start charter schools with federal funding and freemen being a protected class, we will be able to get even more funds set aside for us to start our own schools, to have our own curriculum, to have control of the curriculum. There was nothing wrong with our schools during the days of Brown versus Board of Education that was of our doing. The problem was this government denying us resources violently and keeping us in poverty. But we were fine having our children and having our schools. I support that. So to answer your question, Tia, hell yes. I support giving resources to black families so we can start our own homeschooling consortium, our own black American schools, Freeman history. I support it, and I'm going to have funding set aside for it.
Yay. That's what we need because this critical pedagogy they got going on down there, boy, man, they making these
You know,
kids
I'm a big deal with critical
victims.
race
They're
theory. Let
making
me
them
tell you, though,
victims.
critical race theory was happening. I don't know what people talk about critical race theory. I've been a teacher for 20 years. Most teachers I talk to teachers all the time. We never even heard of the damn thing and still don't even know what they're
Yeah.
talking about. But they've been not teaching our people's history. That ain't new. They've been not doing it. They've been had laws trying
Mhm.
to keep our history a secret. That's why we need school choice, because we will have the control over what we teach and how we teach it to our children.
Yes, sir. And I had another thing too. How did you feel about bringing back trades? Because I always said also that you should bring trades back into the schools because we
I
can't
encourage
always
that.
have our kids. We can't always have our kids going just straight to college. Like we need them
I
for
encourage
the
that now. Trades definitely need to come back. Vocational
yeah.
training. We need to be well-rounded people. So I
Yes,
tell
sir.
all my students, white, black, male, female, be well-rounded. Yes, a degree in arts and sciences, beautiful. Humanities, beautiful. We need degrees in all those fields. Humanities, the sciences, the art. But we also need plumbers. We need barbers. We need hairstylists.
Welders,
We need
welders,
electricians,
cooks.
welders, heating and air specialists. We
Yeah.
need people who are car mechanics. What we need landscapers, and
Construction.
we need to stop looking down on those people, because oftentimes when stuff hits the fan, we don't need someone with a
Hmm.
degree in women's studies. We're gonna need that person though who knows how to wire a home. We're gonna need
Hmm.
that person though who knows how to do agri science. So we need vocational training. I support that for all students, black, white, blue, you name it.
Yes,
Well,
sir.
I've always
Yes,
told my students,
well-rounded black kids are. How did Hoover say it? J. Edgar Hoover. He said the most dangerous person is an educated Negro.
and he's damn right. That's why they try to kill all of us. Well, guess what? Hydra, you kill one, that's not the best thing you can do.
Yeah,
If eight more show up,
yeah. That's crazy. Whew. I love this interview. This is one of my best interviews I've done.
Oh, thank you.
Because you drop a lot of knowledge on there, and we need, as black people, we need that knowledge. I don't care who you get it from. You need the knowledge. Knowledge is power. They always tell you that. There's no knowledge that is not power. All right, folks. All right, Marcel. One last thing. I have one last question for you. Now, I play this game with all my guests called 10 Random Questions. It's basically a personality game. So the first 5 questions, they're geared to you, basically like a lie detector, just to get a gauge, and then 5 questions specific to who I have on. But I always ask, would you like to play 10 random questions before you go?
Sure.
All right, I'm still undefeated, folks, so let's get it.
Questions.
All right, so like I said, the first 5 questions are like the lie detector test, but they're not invasive, just to get a baseline. So,
Trust
number
me,
1.
I'm way too much of an open book already. So you
Yes,
don't
sir.
ask me things, I might be crazy enough to answer them. But go ahead.
Yes, sir. So here we go. I always ask this question first, and I hate the answer, but I ask it anyway. Are you team Apple or team Android?
Android.
This man has taste.
Yes, I do. Thank you.
Yes,
You
sir.
showed up by the hat. Exactly.
Yes, because at least with Android, you can customize the hell out your phone, and
Yes, you can.
it promotes individuality. And I like iPhones. I have both.
I just like it because I got used to it and didn't feel like working with an Apple phone. I have an iPod. I was like, hell with it. I'm gonna keep using Androids. But yes, you're right.
Yeah, I've had mine for a year and a half, and I'm still learning things on it. With the Android, I learned it in 2 days, but shout out to the iPhone people. Y'all got FaceTime. Shout out to them. The day that Android comes out with a FaceTime application where you can FaceTime iPhone people, I'm getting rid of the iPhone. Then I don't need it no more. But okay, question number 2. Who's your favorite musician?
Nina Simone. For now, it changes, but Nina Simone's she's hitting a record stride.
Yes.
I mean,
yes.
I love her. She was a bad woman. Talk about being on cold for her people. She had a lot of issues, but she was fearless for her people.
Yeah. All right, we'll mention it since you brought her up. Kamami.
Oh,
She took her estate.
no comment right there.
No comment. Yeah, we gotta let her live. She said she's done enough dumb things in her life.
I don't know the full story, so I know I've read the headline, but I don't know the full story, so I'm just going to not comment on that for right now.
Yeah. All right, number 3, your favorite TV show of all time.
I liked a TV show called Star. I didn't expect to like it. It was about a guy who's kind of problematic sometimes with his comments, like Daniel Lee. Is that Lee Daniels? But in the first 3 episodes were like awful to me. But boy, that 4th one, it was Queen Latifah on there. That show touched on some real top issues. So I really like that show.
Okay.
Like I stopped watching television shows because of it. After they canceled it, it was doing good. They canceled it because of that Jussie Smollett situation.
Right.
They canceled Empire too. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Can't
Number
stand
4.
it.
Yeah. Number 4, your go-to music genre.
Rap.
He just said black. Anything black.
No,
All
rap.
right. Oh, rap. I thought you said black. I was like,
No, rap.
Okay. Now, who's the artist? I know you were singing. You had on Memphis earlier.
I am very eclectic. I listen to a variety of artists. I'm not a big, even though my family's musical, like my grandparents especially, I'm not a big music person, even though that's a big, huge Friedman thing. So I don't follow any artists. I just hear a song, I like it, and I download on my MP3 player. And depending on what mood I'm in, depends on the type of genre of rap to which I listen.
Cool. Okay. Number 5. You're sitting at a table and you're watching. You basically see just like a shadow ahead of you, and there's a button on the table. You push that button, and out from that shadow can be anyone, and you get to speak to them for an hour. Who would it be?
My great grandmother again. My maternal grandmother's mother.
Okay. I'm guessing she dropped all the knowledge on you.
She did. She lived to be 101. She
Bless
was Gullah Geechie, and she was in my life for 31 years and 101. And I still hope she still died way too soon. So yes.
Yeah. All right. Shout out to great grandma
Nana. Yep.
Nana.
Had many
Shout out to
Nanas,
Nana.
but she was Nana. We called her Nana. The other one, Nana Helma, Nana Pearl, but that was Nana, the Nana.
Nice. All right. Now, these 5 questions are tailored to you. Number 6. Where do you buy those hats?
I buy them from a variety of places. This one is from Goorin Brothers, Goorin Bros, Bros. The other one I buy from black-owned hat companies. One is called Wide Brims, and the other one is called Fruition Company. 2 black-owned, Black American-owned hat companies.
Cool. Yeah, because I saw that hat you had in that video and you were talking about reparations, and I was like, yo, that hat is flame.
That was from a black-owned company. That's from the
Okay.
one in Atlanta called, which one is it? It's not Wide Brims. I think that's the one, Angela and Williams, or Fruition. I think that's Angela and Williams they're called. That's a black-owned hat company too. But thank you.
Yeah, nah, your hats are great. All right, question 7. All right. This one's going to be a little difficult, I think, for you to answer. But do you believe that when you unseat Jim Clyburn, that he'll support you going forward?
No.
Okay. It wasn't that difficult then.
No, he won't.
Okay. We move on to question 8 because I ain't got nothing else to say about that. Question 8. What is, in your estimation, what is the best town to get the full South Carolina experience?
I would want to say my town. That's what I should do. But honestly, the best town to get the full South Carolina experience, I have to say, would probably be Charleston, South Carolina.
Okay.
It's a city. Now, do you want a town, or you just mean like a municipality?
Anywhere, like if you were a travel agent and
Okay,
you had to sell people on South Carolina.
Because Charleston has the urban Geechie experience, and Charleston has the rural Geechie experience. So Charleston, you can get both. You can see the urban side of the Gullah Geechie, and you can see our rural side, and all of the history that you really can find through all of South Carolina is there in Charleston. So Charleston would have to be it.
Okay.
Don't let it go to your head.
It hasn't been gentrified yet, right?
Huh?
It hasn't been really gentrified yet, right?
Hell, hell has been gentrified out of it, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Well, I get too angry when I talk about it, so I really got to not talk about it right now.
Yeah. Okay, no problem. Yeah, I'm not gonna belabor that point. All right, question 9. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna do this for you. Somebody else Black Voltron had a question. This will be your question 9. So he asked, Mr. Marcel, what is your policy on bringing the trades back in school for today and tomorrow's Black youth? I think you might have answered it already.
I did. I said change the way that schools are funded so that all schools are equitably funded and they have the ability to offer programs that have trades. I'm not just talking about high school kids. We need to start even when they're in elementary. But for Black American freemen students, that funding as well as freemen, because we're going to be a special federally protected class, we're going to have funds set aside for us to start our own schools, have control of our own curriculum, and those funds be able to do those things right there.
Right. Yeah, because I even said too on one of my streams, I said, why can't you have 6th and 7th and 8th graders learning nursing or learning HVAC?
No, you can get 5th graders to start doing things.
Exactly.
Kids are incredibly intelligent, have a capacity to take in a large amount of information.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's no reason why we can't have 18-year-old nurses and 18-year-old high school graduates going straight into medical school.
Way too long. I've always felt that way, but we'll talk about that some other time. But yes.
Yeah. And the last question. What piece of advice can you give the next generation about, being on code and understanding that you're Black first? It's not about what you hyphen next to American. It's not about what you identify religiously or politically. because I even said this also. Once this election was over in 2020, you were going to find out how much they love you and how much of a black person you really are, because all those labels disappeared. You're black. So what's one piece of advice you could give to the next generation coming up about staying on code and understanding that you're black first?
Have big black families built on black love. Keep the black family intact and black love. Black men, black American men, love your black American woman. Black American woman, love your black American men. And even if it's not a black American, you love someone that is black and you have beautiful black children. There is nothing wrong with black love. If you fall in love with somebody outside your race, that's your choice. I have nothing against you. But for me, as a gay man, I hope to have black children. Black children, let's build up that black family, keep that black love, and let's keep our numbers strong. And black, beautiful black families built on love and strength are going to lead to big, beautiful black communities.
Yes, sir. Black
And
family
that's why I have
first.
community policies to support families of all colors, but especially my black American families.
Yes, sir. And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, that has been the end of the special edition of Beyond Borders with Rose Gold and Kid Gravity, and Bet on Black with Kid Gravity. This episode will be on both in the coming weeks, but of course you saw it here live, so you can just replay it again and replay it again and replay it again. So YouTube will put it in the mentions so more people will see it, because we need to get this brother out there and understand that he can be a necessary weapon into making black people whole again. And that's what we need, because America will never be America if black people are not whole.
And I want to say, to that end, y'all, those donations are so important. I've been doing commercials, newspaper advertising, spending more money that I was surprised how much money I had to spend. I'm surprised that y'all been donating so well. Please keep it up, y'all. Marcel
Yes.
for Congress.com
Yep.
/donate. I'm accepting Bitcoin now for all my cryptocurrency people out there.
Nice.
I
I
accept
know.
Bitcoin. It's right there on my donation page, marcelforcongress.com /donate, and click on donate with Bitcoin. And also, I want to say April 18th,
Reparations Day.
National Reparations Day. Y'all tweet it and stay tuned because it's coming.
Yes. And before we go, Afro Lee is mad at me because I said that deep dish pizza was worse than New York style pizza.
Well, you know what? None of that had anything to do with Freeman food. So
There you
I'm gonna
go.
let y'all
There you
fight that
go.
out. I'm gonna let y'all fight that out. But thank you for
Yeah.
having me, Kid Gravity.
Yes, sir.
Thank you,
And
everyone.
before you go, just let everybody know where they could find you at.
So on Facebook, I am facebook.com /Marcel for Congress, and that's FOR, not the digit 4. On Twitter, I'm Marcel for the digit 4 Congress. Instagram, Marcel digit 4 Congress. On TikTok, I am Gregg Marcel Dixon.
Cool. And y'all know how I give it up. I'm on that cesspool called Twitter at ChefBoyRD, Kid Gravity Beyond, and Beyond Boards Podcast on Instagram. I don't do TikTok anymore because every time you do a dissertation or a critique, they label it as hate speech. So I'm just going to let that sit over there. And now, like I said, also, I put this on Rumble at Kid Gravity because we know talks like this YouTube don't like, and Rumble's over there with the, black conservatives. So maybe they'll stumble onto it and be like, oh, let me talk to this guy. But black conservatives, I hope y'all know this man is not about that. He don't buck dance. So don't come over there with that stuff and bring
I've
your white
actually been
audience.
getting a good response from black conservatives in South Carolina.
That's
The
good.
Yes, and there are quite a few who support reparations. Now they differ on what it should look like, but even white conservatives, and I am not, there are the ones out there who all these die and go to hell. They need to just die and go to hell. I'm gonna be very honest. But there are ones out there who was like, oh no, you guys are old things, but they give me that it'll divide the country or the country can't afford it. But once I educate them, they don't say much, but you can tell they
They're
started saying,
thinking.
you know what? That does that.
That
Yeah,
make-
well, I've
that
been
makes
told to
sense.
that up. So all I'm saying is sometimes we think people are sometimes things, but we just gotta sometimes give some people a chance. Sometimes there are people who are cool, there are people who are anti-black bigots, but there are a lot of people who are neither one. They're just in the middle somewhere and just haven't heard what we have to share. That's
Right.
it.
They haven't heard the full argument yet.
Right. Well, thank
Right.
y'all.
Yes, sir.
Here, Gravity.
And
Take care.
yes, sir. All right. And we're going to get out of here, folks. So take care. Stay safe.